What is good, everyone? Welcome to my channel. Today I have a very special guest. This is a former student of where I teach university, and although he never took any of my classes, we met through some English conversation practice sessions that we have on campus, and he's gone on to not only study abroad while he was a student, but has lived in several countries since graduating, and also is very soon to move to Singapore. So Yuto, why don't you say a little bit something about yourself?
Hi guys, yes, I'm Yuto, and I'm one of alumni where Paul and yes, after graduation I joined Japanese private company in Tokyo, and then I was working for them for nearly about 2 years, and after that I got scholarship from some foundation, and I studied abroad 2 years, and I just came back last year October, and now I got an offer, a job offer, and then I'll be going to Singapore, and then today we just meeting for the first time in maybe 4 years or something.
Yeah, it's been quite a while.
Yeah, it's quite a while.
So the last time we got together, I actually helped you with a graduation thesis that you were working on for a master's degree, right?
Master's degree,
yeah.
Yes.
So you went and worked for a company first. So why is it that you didn't just stay with that company?
Well, after graduating from university here in Japan, I was not so sure about I pursue my career in what I was studying, researching, and also I wanted to know how private sector was working. So I just joined. I just decided to join the private company in Japan, but also I wanted to join although it was in Japan, I wanted to join multinational, international company. I didn't want to work with only Japanese people.
Okay.
I don't mean I didn't I don't like to.
You don't like Japanese people?
No. I love Japan. I love my people, but I just wanted to earn experience with. Working with people from different countries. So that's why I chose the company. But that was an IT company, so there are so many people from India. So you might recognize my kind of Indian accent according to him.
Yeah, you do have a bit of an Indian accent, which is not a bad thing. It's striking because not many Japanese speak with an Indian English accent. So. Now, I mentioned briefly in the introduction that you'd lived abroad while you were a student. Where were you, and how long were you there?
Well, so first I went to Philippines, Manila, to study about global politics, and then I spent 6 months over there. And after that, I moved to Costa Rica, and then actually in Costa Rica, United Nations has university over there, so I joined the master courses over there.
Okay.
And that's why, And then after that, I was supposed to go back to Philippines to finish my master in Philippines.
Yeah.
But due to the situation now, I couldn't go back to Philippines, and then I stayed in Costa Rica longer.
Okay.
And then I just came back to Japan, and then I just finished my master's. Actually, that was dual degree programs.
Okay.
But I just finished in last December.
How did you feel about not being able to go back to the Philippines? Were you happy to stay in Costa Rica longer, or did you really want to go back?
Well, since I didn't have to stay around the university, I had a chance to move to different parts of Costa Rica, which was Caribbean side.
Okay.
And then I really enjoyed that moment, for a couple of months. But but still I wanted to go back to Philippines because I was supposed to implement some project in Philippines and field work in Philippines.
But so you lost out on a bunch of things you were supposed to do.
Yeah, things are very cancelled. So I still want to go back to Philippines, and but
sure,
it can't be helped.
So, yeah, well, the current world situation has thrown a lot of people off, obviously.
Yes, yes.
And so, you've also lived a couple other places too, like when you were an undergraduate student, you did like a study abroad. Where else did you live?
Yes, I used to live in, study abroad in US, Seattle,
Okay.
Washington State, yeah, for 1 year. And before that, I went to California, San Diego.
San Diego,
for
that was
1 month only. That was very short. It's like I joined like some English course, but that was like travel most like.
Okay.
But it was good experience. That's opened my kind of eyes.
Okay, so you've had a variety of different abroad experiences, and I wanted to ask you kind of specifically about like how those varied experiences changed your views about Japan or about the world in general. But let's start with a more simple question. Which country or which place that you lived in the country was the most different or most strikingly opposite of Japan?
Well, I would say Costa Rica.
Okay, why is that?
Actually, Costa Rica and Philippines are very different from Japan, but I would say Costa Rica because, like, geographically, Costa Rica is like the other side of the earth. Actually, it's really, really far away from Japan. It might take 3 days even to reach over there from Tokyo. From Asia. So of course that's why cultures over there are very different. For example, it's commonly said that Japanese people are very punctual, like on time. Yeah, I understand. Even before I went to Costa Rica, I understand that part. But like, if you go to Costa Rica, for example, everybody it does not necessarily like bad actually. Everybody is laid back and like chill, and you don't need to rush or something like that. Everybody said like
it's just different.
Just different, yeah. Everybody just enjoy their life, like life in front of you. So people are try not to get stressed.
Okay.
And yeah, just easy life, like very, very, very like living in Costa Rica is like something like you live in like island.
Like island time?
Island.
The joke island time?
Yeah, island, but like not island.
Well, and it's ironic because Japan is island, and Japan does not keep island time.
Yeah.
Bro, let's take Costa Rica. You're about as far away from Japan as you could get. It's kind of an opposite culture in punctuality, and I'm sure other ways. Like, did you miss Japan, or were you just like, I'm here and enjoying this place, or how did you feel about being so far away?
I enjoyed the time in Costa Rica actually. Another thing is in Costa Rica people do have actually party almost every day.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, let's book a flight to Costa Rica. That sounds good.
Costa Rica people do have party, and then they do have very, very wonderful music and dancing. Dance.
Yeah.
Type of dance. Types of dance such as like salsa, bachata, and so on. I forgot the names. Yeah. There are 5-6 types of Latin American dances, and I used to go for lessons.
And how open did you find the Costa Rican people to like non-countrymen like yourself?
How open?
Yeah, like your reception by ordinary people.
In Costa Rica, people are quite actually they are not familiar with Asia at all. So if you are from Asia, at least if you look like Asian, in Latin America, people will call you Chino or China, meaning Chinese.
Okay.
That in Latin America, Chinese means Asian. So people call it Chinese.
Okay.
That's something new. But it can be because they don't know about Asian countries.
Sure. Did you even meet any other Japanese people when you were there?
Yes. Actually, there are 10 Japanese people.
10? Like exactly 10.
Yeah, 10,
Wow.
over there.
Quite a few more Chinese then, I would guess.
Yeah.
Well, now you mentioned that Costa Rica and Philippines are very different from Japan. How is the Philippines different?
Philippines are very different in that sense. Obviously, Philippines are still like developing countries. So by living over there, you have to go through some difficulties or struggles.
Sure.
For example, infrastructure is not as organized.
Yeah.
Not organized as good as Japan. So yeah, it's even very difficult to move one place to the other. For example, it might take 3 hours to just move 10 kilometers. Seriously.
Really?
Yes. Always traffic.
Yeah, well, Manila in particular
Yeah,
is
Manila.
very famous for having crazy traffic.
Also, because of the traffic, the air is sometimes very foggy and sometimes it's very difficult to breathe.
Sure.
But that's something.
Now, Costa Rica, my image is it's not so crowded. Like
Costa Rica is not so.
Pretty open.
But that's some challenges in Philippines. But for Japanese people, Philippines is kind of very one of the. I think it's very good place to visit because in Philippines, people are very pro Japan. So whenever you say I'm from Japan, people are, oh, you're from Japan. Oh,
Okay.
nice, and then people treat you very well, actually.
Okay.
But by doing that, I joined like very local, like random party so many times. I was just like taking a walk in the street, and then some local Filipino guy started talking to me, and then where I'm from, and then I said I'm from Japan. Oh, join us! And then I end up partying with them.
So it sounds like Costa Rica and Philippines are both good places to party.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, one thing I've talked about a number of times about myself on this channel is how living in Japan has changed me, or how it's changed my outlook on the world, and specifically like how I view America, where I grew up. Did living abroad in these different places, I mean, first of all, would you feel that it's changed you in some ways?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I think so. I mean, as I told you before, I mean, on the table or on a textbook, you learn like social issues all over the world. But by having experienced the life in actually developing countries, you really understand.
Sure.
What their challenges are, actual challenges are.
Yeah, you can't really understand or visualize it until you've been there yourself.
No. So yeah, it was very precious experience for me. Since I would like to tackle such issues in the future. Yeah, that was very nice, practical experience. Yeah,
I would guess so. That's especially considering like you're planning on living abroad more and dealing directly with some of these things in your future work. Do you feel that also it's living abroad in these places and learning these things has changed your perception of Japan too, or perhaps raised your appreciation of certain things about Japan, or
sometimes I do appreciate about Japanese like so-called soft power. Because of like soft power in that sense, people in Philippines, many people actually in Philippines know about, for example, anime. It's very easy. I mean, how to say example?
Sure.
That's an example. For example, anime or even Japanese food, very famous in Philippines. And Japanese actually infrastructure are very attractive to them because every day they face with terrible traffic.
They would love to have it.
Yeah,
Speaking of Japanese infrastructure, we're outside the KQ KQ office, the KQ train line.
Yes. And yeah, that kind of soft power is there. I understand importance of soft power actually.
I feel like Japan has done a very good job with soft power and projecting an image to the world that is very favorable, and I feel like a lot of places in the world have really good images of Japan in the modern days. I mean, like where I've traveled in Asia myself, I've always gotten people interested. You know, people ask me where I'm from too, and it's a slightly tricky question for me to answer because I'm like, well, I'm from America, but I've lived in Japan for the past, 15 years, so I feel like I am kind of obligated to say that, because if I just say I'm American, it sounds like I just came there from America, and I really feel these days I'm from Japan because this is where I actually live and have my job and family and everything. And the response I get is like, oh, Japan, I love Japan, and this anime, oh, there's a Japanese restaurant, we could go, and that's a very common reaction I got in Taiwan and in Singapore. They have very favorable views of Japan there, so that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, after spending my life, like 2 years of my life outside Japan, now I realize that, I mean, of course, every country is unique and very wonderful culture, but Japan is actually, I would say, it's one of the uniquest, very
most unique,
most unique, one of the most unique countries.
I think. I would agree with that, because I mean, having been getting back to island time, like Japan developed a lot of things on its own because of its sort of disconnect with the outside world. And then even when the outside world came in, like, Meiji era, if we're talking, it's like the outside world with Japanese characteristics, because it changed so quickly. It was like you built modernization on top of what was already there, but what was already there is still there. And so it remains unique because of that until today. However, do you feel like there were some things you experienced in Costa Rica or Philippines or in the United States even, that you're like, that was really nice, I kind of wish Japan was like this? Was there anything that impressed you about those places that you thought, maybe Japan could be improved if we...
Japan is, outside Japan is known for like advanced, I mean in terms of technology, but like that is true, but at the same time that is not true.
Okay.
Why? The question is why. I would say,
which way should we go? Let's keep going straight. So it's true but not true. What do you mean?
Of course, like car industry, automobile technology are still like Japanese automobile company. They are still leading the world. I won't say not forever, but at this moment still, like, if you go to Philippines, they're only Japanese car. In the US, so many Japanese car. Costa Rica, only Japanese car.
Okay.
Toyota, Nissan, Suzuki. Mitsubishi. That's all.
Okay. That does make sense. And
That's good part.
well, in Japanese electronics, you know, you obviously have companies like Sony and Panasonic, and then of course bullet trains, the Shinkansen, those kinds of things.
Yes.
And more recently, across the world, even in the United States, the oh so famous washlet, the toilet technology, has become more and more popular abroad.
Yes.
But what do you mean by, in some ways, it's not?
Yeah. Well, I think when it comes to IT technology, Japan is way behind.
Okay.
I think people still print out papers, and then for example, like there's still Hanko culture. For example, it makes, in my opinion, Hanko culture makes your life very difficult.
So Hanko is the personal seal that you know, you have your red ink stamp that you have to put in place of a signature often, or you have an official one for your work, right?
Sometimes it has to be registered Hanko. Stamp.
Yeah.
It sometimes drives you crazy actually. And for doing that, you have to print out paper. There's no e-signature?
E-signature,
There's no
e-signing.
There are very e-signatures thing in Japan still. That's the reality of Japan at the same time.
So you didn't miss your Hanko when you were in Costa Rica?
No.
Well, and the sheer amount of paperwork that needs to be Hanko too is greater in Japan, I think. Like, for example, just to register, if you move, you have to go to your new city hall or like local town office and like change all these residency documents and everything. And when my wife and I lived in the States, she was shocked. We'd been there for 2 years, and I one day I turned to her and I said, "You realize we've never been to City Hall in my hometown?" And she's like, "You're right," because there's none of that in the States. So no going to City Hall and honking this, that, and the other thing.
Yeah. Since I'm leaving Japan for Singapore, I have to go through such things in the government, municipal government building.
Sure.
Seriously, I'm so
enjoying it. Yeah, very much enjoying it. So you're heading on to Singapore, which of course is not developing country. How do you feel about going to Singapore next? What are you looking forward to?
I really think, again, I was living in developing country for past 2 years, so I feel like I deserve I deserve to live in, to get to know about developed country and what's the latest society looks like, and I think there will be a lot of things that I can learn from Singapore. For example, as you said, like government is 100% like digitalized, so there's no physical, there's no hard copy over there.
Yeah, Singapore is, it's also got that kind of dual image. Like, it's got the image of being an incredibly organized place, and where things get done like really efficiently.
Yes.
But at the same time, it's still known as a place where there's lots of rules and laws. So you have to be careful that you do things, you know, how the Singapore way, like how it must be done.
Singapore is actually called fine country. A fine country.
A fine. Can you explain that?
Fine has two meanings in English, right? Fine means, oh, you're fine.
Oh, thanks. Oh, thanks.
And then, but for example, you speed too much, you get ticket. You have to pay fine.
Yeah.
So in Singapore, everything organized. Singapore is a very fine country. At the same time, you might have to pay fine. That's why Singapore is called fine country.
Got it. So it's a pun for the two meanings of fine. Perfect. Yeah, I took a group of students to Singapore 2 years ago now, and and I had to, as part of the orientation for the trip, I had to warn them of things like, Japan is a very rule-abiding place, but there's rules in Singapore you still have to be aware of. Like, you're not allowed to drink on the metro system at all, and that includes water. Like, you're not supposed to open up a bottle of water and drink when you're on the train. And one of my students forgot, and she was like untwisting her bottle. I'm like, no, I don't need to pay a fine on this trip. I don't know how strict they are, but
you will be monitored most likely. There are like cameras everywhere.
Yeah, that's definitely noticed that.
Yeah. So everything has pros and cons in my opinion. So Singapore is very organized, but at the same time you'll be monitored, and maybe you have some difficulty in your society because you always like feel like monitored and
self-conscious maybe?
Yeah, self-conscious, and you don't feel so much freedom, I would say. Even, especially now, there's so many rules in.
I do feel like when I first arrived in Singapore, and we were only there for a week, but when I first arrived in Singapore, I was kind of hyper aware. Like, I was worried, we gotta make sure I don't break any rules and whatnot. But after a couple days, I realized that, and especially like watching local people, it's not
so much.
Yeah, I think you'll get used to it. Honestly, it's not something that, it's not overbearing, unless you're planning on going there to do something illegal. Then you might need to worry. But
we'll see in a few weeks.
Yeah. So let's get really deep for a moment. And would you say, like, is there anything that you identify that's kind of changed about your character or who you are, having had these abroad experiences? Has it? Let's start with that. Have you changed? Like,
I'm a global citizen. Something like that.
Yeah. Perfect. Great answer. Now I'm gonna hit you with the next one. I did an interview with someone who is a returnee. She lived in Malaysia and lived in Australia for a good number of years, and I asked her, do you feel that you are less Japanese somehow now that you've lived abroad?
Yeah, sure. I think.
Really?
Yeah,
really? Okay. Why?
Why? I think I do not care about the time and punctuality so much. For example,
Okay.
really.
Okay.
I really don't care so much. Before, if I'm late for like 1, 2, 3 minutes, I was like panicking. Oh, I'm late. But now chill. It's okay.
Was there anything you wanted to add?
Okay. I think some Japanese people want to improve their English skills.
Okay.
And then in many cases, actually it can be helped in Japan, but like in many cases, we Japanese people learn English from like kind of American-based English, because all like learning materials are like, how to say, made in.
Yeah. Well,
how to say, like American.
Decades ago, the Japanese Education Ministry decided that it was going to be American English that was going to be kind of the standard for education. I don't know why they made that decision. Maybe because of, the occupying forces after the war were American. Maybe, I don't know.
Maybe.
But
anyways, yeah. But having experienced overseas for several years, and then becoming friends with people from all over the world, in 90%, more than 90% cases, I don't speak with when I use English, I don't speak with, for example, American people. Native speaker even.
Yeah.
So I think one of the most important skills to survive in international community is to understand variety of types of English. Even accent, vocabularies, whatever. I mean, few minutes ago I tried my Indian English.
Yeah.
With Paul.
Mm-hmm.
He couldn't for some reason he couldn't understand it. That was very new vocabulary. Vocabulary to him.
Prepone. The opposite of postpone. So prepone is a Indian English word, and I didn't know it. And we said, you're talking about we need to prepone something. I'm like like I guess like telephone something or like I didn't know.
Prepone. But if you do some business with South Indian people,
Mm-hmm.
they will use prepone all the time. Seriously.
And now you're going to another place that's famous for having its own English.
Yeah,
Singapore. So
yes.
Singlish is going to be. You're going to leave after however long you stay with Indian English, American English, Singlish, some Philippine English, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Do you think you picked up any Philippine English when you were there for 6 months?
Philippines, yeah. When I was in Philippines, yes, I think, for example, so we are studying about how to cite.
Okay.
Sources, right?
Yeah.
In every class, the teacher was saying citation.
Okay.
They Sean.
Yeah.
Tion. They pronounce like this, for example. Sean. Or
it's the emphasis on certain syllables or like shortening or elongating. Like with your kind of Indian accent that you have a little bit, a lot of it is like shortening of syllables. Like you're cut off very quick. You know, you cut off words in a way that sounds more Indian than American or British or something.
And I'm so if you are American or people from UK, not maybe especially from US, America, you feel more important because in India or Philippines or even Malaysia, Singapore, because people call you sir.
Yeah. The first time I did workshops with some Philippine teachers, and they were all calling me sir. I was like, no one's ever called me sir in my life, so that was interesting. I felt like a knight or a noble or something. Oh yes.
You feel important.
Yeah. So in India as well.
India as well. Yes.
Okay.
Sir or madam.
Madame. That must be the British colonial influence like hanging over. Well, first of all, thank you, Yuto, for agreeing to do this interview with me. I have one final question I want to ask you, and it's about your plans for the future. Do you feel you're going to continue like jumping from country to country? Is it your goal to kind of live in a good number of countries over the years, or do you want to return to Japan and settle? What is your kind of image for your future?
Well, I think I will keep going abroad. I mean, that's not mean I don't like Japan, but I mean Japan is pretty much like matured economy, so it's very difficult to see changes. I mean, improvement in your daily life. I mean,
sure.
But by going like for example ASEAN, Southeast Asian countries, they are like developing dramatically, seriously, and you see the changes like day by day. So that makes me more, how to say, like interested, or I mean, that's very like,
more excited.
Yeah.
There's times, honestly, when I question like how I came to Japan, and then I ended up, you know, I never came to Japan intending to stay here, and that just kind of happened. I sometimes wonder if I should have kept hopping more from country to country personally. But that's cool that you want to do that, and it's pretty clear that you have a good, strong sense of pride and about Japan and happiness to be Japanese. But at the same time, you're really open to wanting to get out and see developing countries and I guess be part of helping that development to come along. So that's really impressive, and that's cool to see.
Yes.
And frankly, I'm not surprised. From having first met you all those years ago in the English program, and you know, looking over the types of essays you were writing for your master's thesis, it's like obviously you had a strong interest in being a part of change in the world, which is pretty cool. So
Also, lastly, when I first met Paul, I barely spoke English as I remember. I spoke only I don't know something.
really?
Yes.
Okay, because I've for the longest time had this impression that you were just like, hi, English, blah. No?
No. There was a mandatory English class in our university, and many students passed the class within first year. I couldn't pass it. I passed the second year.
Okay, I didn't know that.
I haven't taken like.
Or maybe I forgot.
I didn't take. I mean, advanced class.
Okay.
But now
Yeah, you would ace the advanced classes now, I think.
so little by little, I learned somehow. Learn English somehow. Now I can deal with even
Now that's
master things. So.
yeah, that's a lesson in and of itself. That's pretty cool. Yeah, no, that's interesting. I didn't remember that. But then you've come a long way.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we've come a long way on this walk. We've walked all the way from Yokohama Station to the Minato Mirai area, which is not ridiculously far, but it's a bit of a hike. So thank you for being willing to walk all this way with me and answer my questions. Best of luck to you on heading off to Singapore and everything in the future after that. And thank you very much for watching this video. If you've made it this far, it's a longer interview. It's a longer video because I'd like the interview videos to be a little bit longer to really get all of what we talked about. So if you've made it this far, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Do you have a YouTube, or you have like a...
No, I don't have. No, I don't. But see you guys next time in Singapore.
All right, yeah, that's the plan. Next time I'll shoot the video from Singapore. Cool. Thank you so much, and thank you for watching. Catch you next week. Bye.
Bye.